not a bad one.
Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. As you know, this is just general share advice and not personal advice. And me and the Wolf, every morning we talk about all the stories, and then we work out what we're going to talk about.
Mhm.
And there's one thing we didn't talk about, and I wanted to not mention it because I want to see Wolf's look on his face, right?
It's probably going to be like, oh my God, right, Face?
Well, tell me something. So the Russians have said we've got evidence that we're going to show that it was the British the British special forces that took out our 4 warships. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't like that very much, Wolfie. That worries me a little bit. I mean, I'm very sorry, but if they've got evidence that our soldiers or our special forces took out their 4 warships, I mean, that's akin to an act of war. This is
Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look at this evidence before we say anything else.
yeah, no, but I mean, you know, the British cover it'd be ridiculous.
Oh, of course they're going to say
Well,
that.
of course we don't do.
Just like we like everyone else accuses Russia of stuff, and Russia goes, "Don't be ridiculous."
Yeah, it'd be
We haven't started the war.
absolutely preposterous. It's just
Yeah, I mean, everyone would say that, right? So let's see the evidence.
It's if the English would ever go and conquer a country and try and take over an empire and do something like that.
But Dave, remember, I'm a fundamental analyst. I look at black and white. I look at evidence of stuff instead of speculating on stuff.
Okay, so I know it's a bit of a what if, right? But what if they did?
Well, then obviously we probably have to. There probably going to be some repercussions, I'd say, and I don't know.
Are you going to be digging a hole in your garden?
No,
your nuclear.
What's it got to do with Australia? Nothing.
No, nothing. But I think you would be if you were in England, wouldn't you?
Well, it depends. I mean, like I said, I mean, what is on what scale or what? I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions to be asked, right? If that's true, and then what Russia is going to be threatened them with. I don't know. I mean, this is what would be interesting to see. I mean, remember, unpredictability is a killer. So I just don't know what might actually happen from there. Probably be serious in some way, but how the response will be from Russia if it's true, or from the rest of the world if it's true, is anyone's guess at this stage.
But I think short term it's a market risk. That's what I'm talking about.
Maybe
little war here, there, little.
Remember, we've got a lot of things on our plate at the moment, right? A lot of big issues, right? Yeah. And the markets survived thus far.
No, but I'm just saying, like, this short-term shock that I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Short-term down, up again.
Right? I think maybe also we've got this, and I've been reading more about these midterms in the US. Talking about Trump going again for the presidency. I mean, that could be a big shock to the system, right? So let's see what happens there, because there's a lot of really right-wing type peeps that want to get into power, right, in the US under the banner of Republicans. So I tell you what, I mean, that's the danger. That's the danger for America at the moment. So I'm looking at that very closely to see what the impact might be. But we know that previously under the government of Trump, the markets actually did quite well.
Yeah. But tell me, where are the young people? I mean, the present president is half dead. He doesn't even know he's there. His latest speech, he didn't even know how many states there were in America. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? So where are the young people? They need some young blood. Where's the new JF Kennedys of the day?
I've got no idea. I mean, the country is run by 80-year-olds at the moment. I mean, this is just ridiculous.
No.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. And I think America is on the cusp of some problems, right, that they probably haven't faced before. So I don't know. I mean, that's also a big issue for me, how the markets will react. Anyway, there's a lot of things on the plate, so we'll see, Dave. But I want to see evidence of a lot of things before I make my decision on what I think is going to happen.
All right. Is it I think Denmark have got it right, isn't it?
I think it's left-winning. I think government won again, didn't they?
Yeah, but I don't know. But it's one of them. I can't remember if it's Denmark or Norway. They've got a really good-looking young lady running.
Oh, that's in Finland.
Finland, is it? Well, maybe
Anna Sarin is the name.
Okay, well, good. Go for it. At least it's something pleasant to look at as you're getting all the talk at you.
Yeah, well, that's
Sorry.
the comment we need at the moment. But look, that's the young people we need. Is probably the right thing to say.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, someone who can maybe transcend both the old and the young demographics, right?
Sorry, that's not very yoke of what I said there, is it?
No.
Sorry. I'm learning. I'm trying to learn how to be
Hey,
yoke.
you need to love both sides.
I know. I'm having to do all the forms now with my kids, and I'm getting confused because it says, are they male, female, and then it lists another 20 things. So I sometimes I get lost. I just tick every box. No wonder they're looking at them strange
Well,
every time.
maybe they're still sorting it out what they are.
Well, no wonder they look at them strange every time they turn up to events. Anyway, let's get going.
Come on.
And let's talk about SQ2.
Yes.
So it's up.
Yep. Interesting, isn't it? So you've got, and we've got two companies. We're going to talk about SQ2. We're going to talk about Team. So one company not doing fantastically well, but beat expectations, right? And a couple of the business units is going quite well, which is going with the sales, business sales. So you can see they are recovering quite well. The stuff that's not going well is the Bitcoin stuff. That's really dragging on the revenue side, right? But generally speaking, underlying, if they got rid of this bloody Bitcoin stuff, they'll be going okay. But the market's applauding the fact that they beat expectations, and maybe the outlook is not as bad, and actually also consensus is okay. So they are up 10% today. So we'll see how they perform. And of course, remember they've been smashed down pretty hard during the last 12 months. So let's see where they go. Now we talk about Team, the next one, right? So they've missed expectations from the analysts out there by, I'm just looking at the actual report. The expectations were for 38 cents underlying shares. They fell short to 36 cents. And consensus was 8.79 for the quarterly of revenues. They've come in of 855 million, I think. Hang on, let me see for the second quarter. Okay, so they've come in with expectation for 855 versus 879. Market's absolutely shellacking it, Dave, overnight, down 20% on the watch. Wow. Less than 10% miss for the expectations. Holy moly, this market is very severe, right? I still like the company. They're still growing at 31%. I think, it was expensive in hindsight. It's pretty expensive to what the market's obviously prepared to pay for these things. However, I think the company is very well positioned for the future. So I think in the next probably month, 2-3 months, there'll be going to become great opportunities to buy this back, maybe at $100.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And yeah, it does look like it's going to go low. And again, Wolf, the ones in the know, they were selling. They knew it.
Yeah,
didn't
absolutely. They knew it a miss, isn't it?
AGL. So
yes.
Cannon Brooks, looks like he's got control. I suppose good for the planet. We're doing I suppose
good for Australia.
Yeah, good for Australia. I mean, I think 50% of the world's pollution is all coming out of China, isn't it? It's really he needs to start buying some companies in China, really.
Yeah. Well, look, as always, you've got to start in your backyard first, right? Get that sorted out first before you're going to go and conquer the world. So I'm with you. I'm very glad that he's trying to do something positive here in Australia, make things go faster, because there's a lot of pushback from the old guard saying no, it's going to cost us money. Yeah.
Let's get on. You know what? He's a breath of fresh air, isn't he?
Absolutely. I like the fact that he's disrupting everything that's happening. Right? That's good.
And also, people aren't giving him credit to what other ideas he's going to be coming forward with. So people
Musk of Australia, isn't he?
Yeah, but they're saying you can't do it because the renewables, but no one's ever questioned him and said, well, what renewables are you looking at doing or whatever? He's most probably got a number of ideas. I mean, the guy's a clever guy.
But I'll tell you what, next 2 or 3 months should be quite interesting for AGL. If he comes up with some, gets full control, changes the board, puts his own people in, comes up with new ideas, this could be a buy of the century. You never know if they can change themselves into a renewable type company.
Well, you know what? I think this business, this type of industry has got a lot of regulation, correct?
Yep.
He's got the sort of influence to work into that regulation, hasn't he?
Yeah, plus the government, the
Yeah,
Labour government is much more supportive of the renewables than the conservative Liberals, right? So I think he's got the government probably in his corner, and now he's probably maybe got the vision that he wants to apply to this. So you never know. I mean, this could be really, like I said, pretty interesting.
Would you say this could be for those for maybe sort of a grandpa looking for a story for his grandson? This could be
possibly. I mean, I think it's too early, and you still need to see further developments to see the direction they're going to take, the outlook. They're probably going to have like a 5-year strategy of some kind, right? They're going to come up with. So let's see what that's going to be.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Wolf, for that. CSR up 3%. Wolf still under trend, so still struggling to get any momentum. What do you reckon?
Yeah, apologies for the background noise. Unfortunately, my gardeners came in at the wrong time, so apologies for that. But
oh my God, you're so posh now. You've got a gardener.
Oh well, I'm just lazy.
Oh my gosh. Oh, the gardener's here.
Yeah.
Very good.
Excuse me. Tea time. It's the gardener. Yeah.
You must be the only Polish person to ever employed a gardener.
Well,
that's like there's only the president of Poland had a gardener 20 years ago. Okay.
Anyway, let's talk about
can we meet the gardener? Does the gardener
yeah, because he's doing his work at the moment.
Does he invest in shares?
I don't know.
Better ask
does his job and moves on.
Okay.
All right, CSR, Dave.
Yeah.
You've got to give credit due, right? So we know that we've got inflation, so we've got the pressures on there. You name it. There's issues in this space, right? Where the economy is slowing. We've got, the building materials company are not doing too well. They've reported pretty poorly recently. Yes, CSR obviously run very well because they've come out and saying that we're navigating through this, pretty big problem, inflationary wise, quite well. And they've come up with a fairly positive outlook as well for FY23. So you really can't mark every stock in this space with the same brush. I think you've got to, again, put a lot of emphasis on the managements and say, one management can be better than the others, and that's what you've got to probably put a big emphasis on. So, I mean, I like it. I mean, I think they did quite well. Let me just see what they're trading on. I mean, I want to be buying it, probably not, because it's still got a big question mark in this space.
I mean, I've got here like a P of 9 and a dividend of 6.5.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. It looks pretty attractive. So I think a best case for me at the moment would be a great trade, right? Maybe take it up from maybe $5 if it gets over that to maybe $6.
If it happens.
Yep.
Okay. So it still seems the wrong industry. That's what.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely, it does. That's why I don't want to fully back it yet, but it's doing quite well.
Okay, MFG.
Mm-hmm. We need to talk about this. I know it's been a dog, but there's a reason for that. And the key for all these fund managers is funds under management and inflows, outflows. More outflows, 2.4 billion for the last period. That means it's going to be less revenues for them, right?
You know what, Wolfie? They won't leave that Facebook alone, would they? The Meta. Is it Meta they're in, or?
I can't remember what the big things, but
yeah, I think it was
the big ones are starting to struggle, right? And it's funny enough, you got Amazon that's got smashed recently, right? Which we still like, but it got smashed. Facebook looking pretty sick. Now we've got Apple, Dave. I think you saw the stories the last couple of days saying that the Apple factory in China has been closed down because of COVID. It is the biggest factory they've got. So what's going to happen there?
How much of that is political, do you think?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
You know what? The problem is, stay anyway that's got a big operations in China. I mean, if we're going to, if there's going to be, say, some sort of conflict between Taiwan and US, Dave, anything that's got China related, that you'd have got a interest in some shares, you're going to be smashed. So it's just too difficult, this space. Just get out, move on to something else. That's why I think Apple is in a very precarious position. I'm not sure where it's going to go from here.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Look,
I'm worried because that
if it ends a week like that, Wolf, it's got a sell signal.
Sell, absolutely, doesn't it?
But I'll tell you what. This is one story. Now, I'm not a fundamentalist, and it's not working for me on the charts. But God, if you could get Apple a great deal. I mean, they still got plenty of money. They could start manufacturing them in Mexico if they wanted to, right?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I think they need to get out of China and find some other places to manufacture the devices, whatever, right? And I think everyone's seeing that now. China is just so unreliable. You gotta diversify yourself. Don't rely on that country. And you know, funny enough, China's shooting themselves in the foot by being so.
Would
So-
Mexico be the natural place these companies would go?
I think maybe, you know, some other places like Vietnam, you know, they can still stay in Asia, but you've got other places that are much more open, much more receptive. You know, they're not as crazy as autocratic China.
Yeah, no, it's true. All right, Wolfie, and lastly but not least, what you wanted to talk about, STG. But you've got a few you want to talk about.
Yeah. We're not quite there yet. So
STG, technically it's not there, but a good move today.
Yeah, it is. And look, and a pretty big announcement, I think, overall, because IBM makes up a bulk of their revenues. So they've had an extension to that partnership of theirs with IBM for another 3 years. That's a very positive move. You know, is it my favorite company? No, but I still think it's a pretty good company overall. Maybe there'll be a trade somewhere along the way. So definitely have it on your watch list as a trade somewhere.
PSI, which is actually trading quite nicely, Wolf, and we've got this on. We are trading this one at the moment with a 550. It didn't go there because the market most probably just said, we're not ready yet. It's come back down. It's hit the trend line. It could be off again. Is that announcement good enough to get this moving?
Well, I think it's a good announcement. I'm not sure it's going to be good enough to move it back above that previous high. However, I still would not be getting out of this trade. I'd still be in this because the actual industry itself is going quite well. They are going quite nicely, and you know, together with AUB, you know, they're kicking goals. We saw AUB yesterday have a pretty good little announcement, so maybe PSI is next to follow.
All right, looks good. And GPT, Wolf, you wanted to talk about this one.
We've got these property players at the moment in Australia who I think are coming into a pretty tough period, right? We are now coming into a really more of a recessionary type period with more interest rate rises. So watch this space. GPT come up with a fairly good announcement today, reiterating guidance for both, I think, the EPS and the dividends. So it's not too bad, but you know, like I said, overall, I think I'd be wary of this space and possibly looking at other industries, other sectors right now.
Wolf, did you have a chance to look at WR1, little lithium play that's having a very, very strong move?
Yeah, I did very briefly. You know, another lithium play, and they call him the next battery. Some of the marketing is just amazing. I just find it extraordinary how they get away with that sort of marketing. But anyway, they had some rock chips. Yeah. Let's see some proper results, and then we'll make more of a better call.
Okay, just rock chips. That's all it was, and worth.
Now I haven't seen any proper essays yet.
So now worth $100 million on their rock chips.
Yeah.
Good. You got to give it to them. You got to give it to them.
LPI. Before you go, LPI. Last one. I want to quickly talk about that one.
Yeah.
All right. So they were sort of struggling, right? Because there was an article in the Chilean newspapers, which they responded today and refuted the information in that article. I went quickly look through because they didn't actually say what the article is about. But I did my little investigations, had a looked at this Chilean article. I translated it on Google. Thank you, Google. You do work sometimes in my favor. Anyway, the crux of the article is saying that Codelco, which is the main state-owned miner in Chile, right? Big clouds in that space, wants the whole of Sala de Maricunga, which is the area that's hosts all these lithium, all of themselves, right? That's what's going. Hang on a second. What about the little players that have got some ground in that space? Well, that's the big fight, right? So LPA is saying, no, we've got rights. They
don't got no rights, because I'll tell you what, I lived in Spain. I know the Spanish mentality. Where the big wigs say they want it, they're going to take it.
The problem is, it is case.
Mate, it's all about money, Wolfie.
I know. This is what I'm worried about. I don't care. If you say you've got on paper, you've got something, it can change. It can change very rapidly. If you're in this Big
So
warning size. This is red alert here. Could
You
also
have-
for themselves. I'd be out of this.
100% sell. How many other
I don't know.
Aussie
I'd have to have a look. Who else is obviously in Chile under this particular thing? But I'll tell you what, this is big red flag for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Wolf, that WA one, I think we picked that stop loss really well. If everyone listened to us,
Mhm.
I will say if anyone's in it, what do you do? Actually, so if you whack it onto a 60-minute, it held support and it's starting to come up.
Yep.
Doesn't look. Would I buy it? But if you were trending it or looking to trade it, and you wanted to buy, listen, that's not bad price action. You could have a look at it, but your stop loss would be just under that 147, say 145. Yeah.
Yep. Then the thing is for me, Dave, just from a the FOMO effect is, you know, the early investors, as in other words, the traders in there might be getting a little bit tired, so they're probably moving on to some other specky stocks. So a little bit of hit might come out of this for the moment until they come up with more news. So just be wary.
Yeah, a lot depends on news. If they can come up with some news,
Yep.
but then bang, they could have another leap of faith.
Yep.
And what you've got to be careful, you look at a 60-minute chart. It's not quite 11 o'clock, right?
Mhm.
So that chart can fool you a little bit. So if you wait till after 11 o'clock, it still looks good. Then possibly as a trade on.
Yep.
But high risk trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Now it's getting harder and harder and higher and higher risk.
But definitely, if you did buy it, that stop loss just on that 146, say 144. On that news, Wolf, thank you very much. And we are live with the Ocelot at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
He's raring to go. He's all excited.
Let's go. Another threesome. I like it.
I hate it the way you say that. All right. Thanks, Wolfie. See you,
See you
mate.
in an hour.
Bye.
Bye.